Elected. Drop down below who your perfect candidate is for the Baltimore Ravens head coaching position. So much to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, a lot to talk about. It is truly off-season time. It is an exciting time, in my opinion, to be a Baltimore Ravens fan. Lots of news coming out. Welcome back to episode 368 of the Purple Rain podcast. The Brandon McKinney, Joseph Noteboom, AQ Shipley, Matt Skura edition of the Purple Rain podcast. Like I said, lots to talk about today. But first off, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. Let's go over here on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod, X simply as10. And yeah, we are getting so much news right now of who's coming in, who's coming out, interviews, stuff like that with the Ravens. But Sutton, we are about 2 days removed since that news from John Harbaugh being fired. You still feeling good? Still have the good vibes? Still just rejuvenated? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Just like I said on what was it, Tuesday, when we did the emergency live stream. This puts the last season. I'm not even calling it this season. I know we still have playoffs and all that, but I'm calling it last season at this point. This puts last season behind me. It's in my rear mirror, right? I am up and ready to go and excited to see who this Ravens team brings in as their next head coach. And we're gonna get all into that, of course, because I don't know if you saw, Alex, but they're making some really, really uh, you know, deep holes here. They're leaving no stone unturned. They're interviewing some guys who I have never heard of before. So we're gonna get into that. But I'm doing well. I can't complain at all. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. Like the guy Alex said, 368, so 368 of the program podcast. And we do have some making it rain here early. This is our guy DWAS in the chat. Says, I want Joe Brady. What do you think about that one, Alex?
Yeah, that's a name we have not heard yet, and it's a name you won't hear, I think, for a bit. If we were to get him, if we wanted to get him, we would have to wait until the Bills are out of the playoffs. Joe Brady, the Bills offensive coordinator, those guys are not taking interviews right now. No request for him yet. I've seen from anybody in the league, so could happen, but I think that's all contingent upon what we see out of Buffalo this weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, definitely. And while we're on that topic, as a matter of fact, Alex, I wanted to ask you this
Mhm.
before we get into the Ravens and who they're going to hire. Where do you think Harbaugh goes? Right, like out of all the possibilities, where do you think he ends up?
So I'm gonna speak from if I were him. Something
Hmm.
about Miami, you're at the end of your career, the aesthetic, the warm weather. You've been in
Retiring home.
Baltimore. You've been there, yeah, for 18 years in the 4 seasons of just cold. Um, you've just seen snow. For me, heading down south, much like the birds, and just gonna chill in Miami. There's no expectations. You get there, flirt with 500. They're gonna love you. They're in a rebuild phase. Tua won't be there, but just if I'm speaking of him wanting to still, really put his whole just heart and head into it, New York. I think the Giants with Dart, with Neighbors, with Scatterbo, they have some dogs on the defensive line. Obviously, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. They have pieces there where I feel like they aren't far from contending. They do need somebody to study the ship and just keep those guys upright. But for me, head says New York, heart says Miami. I saw there were some rumors about possibly the Packers and Bills waiting out for him. That definitely is
The
interesting,
Eagles, maybe.
man. Oh, that's
I don't think
definitely
they're sold on Sirianni, to be honest with you. If they go out in terrible fashion in these playoffs, like let's just say they get bounced in the first round. I can't even remember who they're playing. We're gonna get into our picks later, but you might see Sirianni about it. They might blame the head coach and say, John Harbaugh's right there. We're gonna go ahead, get rid of you, Sirianni, and like restabilize our franchise. So hopefully we can win, two more Super Bowls, right? Because as we know, they are still the defending champs, and I think that they want to continue to compete. But I agree with you though. I think that the Giants is it's a no brainer. It's a no brainer. I get the whole Miami. It's like it would be your retirement team, but like I don't see where he could get passionate about coaching up Tagovailoa or whoever is there at quarterback. I think Quinn Ewers is the backup, right? Who showed, I guess, a little bit of promise at the end of the season, but I just don't see him wanting to go down there. It'd be like, like you grow old and I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it would be like you get old and you do something that a young man would do, right? A young man would take over the Miami Dolphins and ride with that team and really try to build it from the ground up. I think Harbaugh, he deserves to inherit something that's like kind of turnkey. You know what I mean? So if he goes to New York, I think it's definitely a turnkey destination for him. Like you said, Dart, Scatterboo, 10 receiver, and Malik Gaber, pass rush. There's a lot of pieces there that he could, potentially inherit and do really well with and see success. And I want to see that, especially because it's in the NFC. And I don't think we play the Giants next year. I think they
No,
released our opponents earlier today. We don't play the Giants. Um, but yeah, I definitely would want to see Harbaugh do well, but I think it's definitely going to be with New York, if anywhere. But again, hold it out. I mean, Packers. I don't really see or reason why they would get rid of Matt LaFleur, but Packers fans would know better than me. But I could see either McDermott or Sirianni. The Bills are a very interesting one, Alex, for me because the Bills basically I dare the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year. I dare them, right? And I think the entire national media dares them as well because they are going to get absolutely crucified. The entire headline's going to be, "Oh, Josh Allen couldn't get it done with no Lamar, no Mahomes, no Burrow in the playoffs," right? Just kids, straight kids everywhere, and one old guy in Aaron Rodgers, right? And he couldn't get it done. That would be the narrative, and I think that the scapegoat would not be Josh Allen, at least not coming from within the franchise. They say, okay, Sean McDermott, you're the one. You're the culprit here, right? This was supposed to be the year that you got over the hump because your demons weren't even in the playoffs. I think that might be willing to move off of him. And Harbaugh, I think he'd be willing to move in. Now, that would be like kind of like a KD to the Warriors kind of move, minus like the opting out of your contract thing,
mm.
and willing to go there. But you get what I'm, Alex. Could you imagine John Harbaugh on the Bills?
I mean they'd forget James Cook in the fourth quarter probably. They'd throw Ray Davis in there, or what's the other one they have? But yeah, they forget about James Cook. If he did that, man, that would it wouldn't hurt really because we do play him next year. I'd be like, all right, cool. I mean, I guess we did you dirty. You want to do us dirty, quote unquote. I mean, 18 years, we gave you more than enough time. Bring it on. As for the Packers, though, I feel like if anybody should be out, it's the GM. I mean, he took a first round receiver who did not hit. Really haven't built Jordan Love of a core. Christian Watson gets hurt. You know that every year. Romeo Dobbs obviously has been uh, banged up with I words as well. Buffalo, though, I could see it, but you mentioned Philly. Philly plays the 49ers. If they lose to San Francisco, who I think Ricky Pearsall and Trent Williams have not practiced this week, definitely could stir up some questions there in the city of brotherly love.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Again, the Eagles are a very, very interesting team, one to watch as well. But okay, let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching live. Again, you're watching the Purple Rain podcast with Sutton Def and Simply AS10. We appreciate y'all for coming through. This is episode 368. And again, we mentioned it a couple of episodes ago, but we just cracked over 5,000 subscribers. We appreciate all of you guys for coming through and out with us and being with us on this journey here on this channel. But we got some stuff to get into, right? We got some head coaching candidates that we kind of have to pick from and choose who do we think and who do you think is the perfect head coaching candidate for the Baltimore Ravens. Like my guy Alex said, it's been 18 years. Not every day, not every year, every other year, every 4 or 5 years do us as Ravens fans get to experience this time. This is a very, very, very interesting time. The first time ever on this podcast, right? And on a lot of Ravens content creators, all the ones that I know, haven't been doing it since John Harbaugh got hired, right? This is the first time a lot of channels, content creators that we have to talk about this. So it's very, very interesting. And, Jeff Zuriak tweeted today. He gave us an update on everybody who's either been interviewed already or been requested to be interviewed already. I'll go ahead and read through what we have here. Who have the Ravens talked to
Yeah.
about being their head coach?
So you obviously interviewed Broncos quarterback coach / pass game coordinator Davis Webb and Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph, getting them out the way, as the first round bye week that Broncos have. But for requested, a lot of interesting names in here. Robert Salah, uh, Clint Kubiak, Seahawks offensive coordinator, ex-Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, Dolphins defensive coordinator and former Raven coach and player Anthony Weaver, Chiefs OC Matt Nagy, and Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores. A lot of interesting names here. I do like how uh you know big they made this for them. They can have a little bit of everything on here to look at. Well, so we get into one by one if you want to, and to start with who we already interviewed with being Davis Webb and Vance Joseph.
Yeah. I mean, we can get into. Look, Chris says in here, can't wait
Like
for more of Alex's fury.
the fury isn't towards the American football day; it's towards the European football. But I will not get mad at that today. We're here just talking about Ravens. I'm just laid back. We're gonna talk about some guys who are coming in. I'm chilling. I'm a chill guy right now. I don't know about you. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'm a pretty chill guy too, and plan to be until September, pending if the Ravens have a good offseason. No, wait, what did you ask again? I'm sorry. What did you ask me again?
Um, Nothing. I mean, do you want to start with the guys who we interviewed first? The Broncos
Yeah, yeah,
coordinator.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The Broncos. Okay, so look, I saw this morning. Davis Webb, quarterback coach and pass game coordinator for the Broncos. This does not seem like the natural action from quarterback coach, pass game coordinator to head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, where the expectations right now are sitting sky high. You know, Steve He's not going to bring in somebody who he doesn't think can bring a Super Bowl to Charm City within the next 2 seasons, 3 seasons max, I would say. Right? He's not going to bring in somebody who can't do it immediately. So I don't see Davis Webb, 30 years old. Right? I'm 30 years old, and I couldn't see myself. I couldn't imagine myself being an NFL head coach. I don't know football like these guys, but I think he's just a little bit too green. In terms of Vance Joseph, man, he's been having the defense with the Broncos ball out. I think he's had top 5 defense with them the past 2 seasons, and he just kind of orchestrates a good defense wherever he goes, right? But I still think that there are bigger fish to fry right now on the Ravens team than just fixing the defense. As maybe controversial as that may sound, I'm still an offensive guy. I'm going to talk about it later. But Alex, what do you think when you see these Broncos coaches up here that we interviewed?
Yeah. So Davis Webb really intrigues me. I feel like they're trying to do a second coming of Sean McVay, except the Rams with him had very little expectations. They're coming off the Jeff Fisher era, which was 8-8, 7-9, 9-7, and you had a Jared Goff who was struggling heavily after being the number one pick. This right here, if we were that type of team, I'd be all for it, but we're not. I feel like it would maybe take a year or two for us to really get going, and we don't have a year or two to get going. I did see he was there at Texas Tech with Baker, and then with Mahomes after Baker transferred. I know the Bills wanted him to be their quarterbacks coach when he was still playing. Very smart guy. I think he might be too green, especially for the Ravens position. Vance Joseph, on the other hand, definitely like what he could bring. Not sure about the head coaching position, but I can't deny what he's done with them. And I also though am leaning more towards an offensive coach. But if we were to go defensively, he'd be in the top kind of 3 or 4 just because I know what he can bring. But at the same time, we aren't throwing out the guys they are on defense. A Dre Greenlaw, a Hufunga. We have a Hamilton, or they're throwing out the best corner in the league and Pat Surtain as well, and the edge rushers they have, Bonito and the guys on the line. We unfortunately don't have that. So unless he can bring those guys over, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, definitely not. Now, when we move on to who the Ravens have requested to
Yes.
interview, a lot of these names really pique my interest, right? So, Alex, what would you say that you value the most of the next Ravens head coach out of these 3 categories, right? Number 1, offensive influence. Number 2, defensive influence. Or number 3, leadership. Which one do you value the most? And if you could rank them, that'd be great.
That's a good question. I feel like leadership number one. I feel like we've lost that. I
Mm,
don't think we've really seen that since probably about 2023 in 2 years. I haven't seen that from our head coach. I know what we can have offensively. I know how good that is. Um, I do want us to have a good OC. So I'm going to put offense 2 and the defense 3. I feel like I still want to get a Jim Schwartz guy at DC. I honestly I want a failed head coach as my DC, i.e. a Spags. I want a guy like that at DC who I know can control the game, but when you give him all the keys, that's where the problem lies. Having a Zach Orr who was way too green was a huge mistake. That's why Schwartz for me, or I mean, I hate to say it, Vance Joseph wasn't the best head coach, a great DC, and like I said, Spags as well. But I do want this offense to be as good as they can be. So I'm gonna go with that, and it'll kind of tell when I pick who I want out of this group.
Interesting. That's very interesting that you said that. And all you mentioned Jim Schwartz, he actually interviewed internally for the Browns head coaching spot today. I read when I was on the old Twitter sphere. So I think that he might, move up and become head coach of the Cleveland Browns. I think that's totally on the table. They like, what he obviously they love what he offers on defense, but I think that they might give him another shot. I really do over there in Cleveland. Now, as we go through these names, 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. 49ers defense this year was below average at best, right? I mean, I think worst pass rush in the league, maybe even worse than the Baltimore Ravens. Robert Saleh is a guy who checks that leadership box that you said is paramount for you, Alex. Are you in or are you out on Robert Saleh being the next head coach of the Ravens?
I like him, but I feel like losing a Fred Warner and Nick Bosa hurts. You know, that's us losing Kyle Hamilton. Your best player, and then honestly, it's like losing Kyle Hamilton and Namdi BK. Your two best players on defense. We saw what happened when Hamilton went out on Sunday. It wasn't good. I'm gonna cut him a little bit of slack. I do like what he brings. I just kind of have the Jets still in my mouth as a bad taste, just seeing how bad it went because they had talent, they could never get it going. But I also got to put some of that blame on Woody Johnson, the owner himself. But right now, he's not my top three, to be honest. But I do like him as a prospect.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and for me, I'm out on him. The production really goes with what we need right now. I mean, the leadership is there for sure, but the production I feel like is kind of lacking, and that's honestly how I feel about maybe a couple of guys on this list. So let's move on here. We got Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, right? So I mean, I've read online Seahawks fans, they've been saying like, oh no, please, like Clint, just stay one more year. Then other Seahawks fans are saying like, no, it's okay. I mean we took their defensive coordinator and turned him into our head coach, so it's only fair. But how are you feeling about Clint Kubiak? Are you in or are you out, and why?
I am very much so in. Probably my number one candidate. I'm gushing over him. For me, the Kubiaks in my book are always going to be good. I saw Gary come in here in 2014 and what he did with Joe Flacco, how bad our offense was the year before, to making it probably one of the best in franchise history before the Lamar era. I mean, Flacco, I think, had his best year of his career. Steve Smith, Torrey Smith, Owen Daniels, Dennis Pitta, Kamar Aiken as the number three receiver. And then having that Kubiak in him. And I also read he took influence from Mike Shanahan, obviously Kyle's dad, in that West Coast offense. I think that's really intriguing for the Ravens. We haven't seen Lamar run that yet, and having a bit of Shanahan and Kubiak in you, that really to me you can't go wrong. I think you get a bit of leadership, you get the offense, and I actually saw a really cool stat of the quarterbacks Clint Kubiak has worked with, and I just want you to kind of just hear some of the names he's worked with, and here are the stats that these guys put up. So in
Okay.
2019, this is under Clint Kubiak. 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, Kirk Cousins. 2020 and 2021 with Cousins, 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns. 2021, 4,200, 33 touchdowns, Cousins. And then he 2023 with Purdy, 4,300, 33 touchdowns. With Carr, Rattler, and Jake Hayner, they've put up 3,500 yards and 21
Mm.
touchdowns. And this past year with Sam Darnold, 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. Um, to me, there's not one elite quarterback on that list, but we're touching 4,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns, 25 touchdowns with career game managers, not to sound like Cam Newton. But those guys are all game managers. Nobody is in the Lamar atmosphere. I just cannot imagine what he would do in his offense, and it really just gets me excited. And being from the Shanahan tree, not to talk too much about coordinators, Mike McDaniel really intrigues me now with him getting fired as possibly an OC.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The Ravens haven't confirmed that they are talking to Mike McDaniel yet, but I do expect them to do their due diligence on that. But you make all really good points. You see what Clint Kubiak has been able to do with just bang average, as you used to love to say, quarterbacks, right? Uh, imagine what he would do with Lamar Jackson in the backfield. And another thing about Clint Kubiak, famous for running, these outside zone type of runs, things like that, and booting off of it, play actions, loves to do all that type of stuff. That type of stuff, I mean, it worked like a charm in this Ravens offense. All right, I mean, you have Derrick Henry on outside zone runs, and then you can boot off of that with Lamar Jackson. The possibilities are literally endless, right? And not to mention Clint Kubiak, like you said, comes from a family coach, Gary Kubiak. I kind of had a love hate relationship with him. Obviously, when he came to Baltimore, did some great things, but when he was with Houston, he definitely did stifle the Baltimore Ravens a couple of times, once or twice that I remember specifically, and I was not a fan of his back in the day. But
Man,
his son Clint, from Houston, man, the guy, seems like he's a leader. Everybody online, the fans of they say he's a leader. He's the exact type of coach that Lamar Jackson in that locker room would need. So I'm really, really high on Clint Kubiak as well. I'm kind of getting higher and higher on him as kind of the days go along here. I still have him as my 1B right now, behind a coach that the Ravens have not reached out to, who I think is the perfect candidate for the Ravens head coaching position. But Alex, what else you got for me on Clint?
you bring up, Gary, his first game as the Broncos head coach. They beat us with Peyton Manning, and we saw him take that Broncos team to the Super Bowl, and they eventually won it. And Peyton Manning could have thrown more than 10 yards. So he got it done when the times were tough with that great defense. Obviously, Von Miller and all those guys, some dogs on there. But coming from a guy who's won it all, knows how to win, definitely intriguing, and that's definitely probably my 1A. My 1B is on this list though, and I can't wait to get to him.
All right. Well, let's move it right along here. So, it also came out today, I think literally only hours ago, that the Ravens have now requested to interview ex Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, right, for the next Ravens head coaching position. Cliff Kingsbury has been known, throughout the course of his career, kind of installing that air raid type of offense. Did it with Kyler Murray. Also a little bit with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was going deep a lot in his rookie season. So, what are you thinking about Cliff Kingsbury? Are you in or are you out, and why for the Ravens head coaching position?
I'm not feeling it. I'm not. It's not a lot of passes over the middle. That's where I kind of want to see the Ravens improve. Um, did some great things with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, but even this year when Jaden was healthy, wasn't looking the best, and that's my worry with him. Maybe a one season wonder. Um, I kind of saw that with the Cardinals as well. Obviously, Kyler did get hurt. They dealt with a lot of stuff, but that 1 year they made it. They got blown out by the Rams in the playoffs, and to me, this guy doesn't fit. I think he's an OC. I think honestly, if I'm him, go link up with Patrick Mahomes, your former player at a Texas Tech, be his OC. But I'm not feeling him for our head coaching job.
Yeah, me neither at all. I mean, I question again how well he'd be able to scheme our guys open and what he would do in our offense with our weapons and our quarterback. But not only that, just the leadership there. I mean, I just don't really see him being able to kind of get all of those guys in Baltimore behind him. I don't really see the city buying into Cliff Kingsbury being the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. I just don't. But moving right along here, Dolphins defensive coordinator and old friend Anthony Weaver a little bit requested by the Ravens for an interview. Head coach Alex, you in or are you out? This is the most familiar name on this list. Are you in or are you out on Anthony Weaver?
I'm out. I am out. Dolphins defense not that good last year. Obviously, not a good team. But I am on record noting I want new blood, fresh faces, fresh energy. I don't want an Harbaugh kind of to say. I know he played under Billick, but I don't want anybody who's already been here. I don't want the same old. I saw a clip of, we were talking about violence. I saw the same thing from Zach Orr, earlier this year, how we were going to play fast. And I kind of got PTSD. Um, I still think he needs some time as a DC. Was it 2 years as a DC? I'm not feeling him, to be honest.
Yeah. Anthony Weaver, a lot of respect for him. Obviously,
Yes.
like you said, he played under the Brian Billick era from I think '02 to '05, I believe, and then also came and coached the D line 2021 through 2022 or three. So, he's been in and around the castle for a long, long time. And for that reason, like you said, the familiarity and just kind of like the quote unquote continuity of that just scares me, right? It
Yeah,
just gives like the heebie-jeebies. It shakes. I can't.
yeah,
Oh, I like you said, new blood, fresh faces. I want to get the entire Harbaugh philosophical tree out of the building, right? And honestly, there's a name that's not on here, and Jesse Mint, who's a very, very hot name as well, who I feel the same about.
yeah.
Alex, to be quite honest with you, I mean, he comes from that, that Harbaugh tree, albeit underneath the gym, but the whole Michigan man thing and all that. And, maybe he could be the next Mike McDonald, Jesse Minter. And I don't want to go too much on a tangent about him because I'm sure we'll get into some honorable mentions and guys who aren't on the list as well. But the point still stands, like you said, Alex. We need new blood, fresh faces. Move on from the old philosophy. Out with the old, in with the new. So I'm out on Anthony Weaver as well. And not to mention, his first season as Dolphins defensive coordinator, he had a top 5 defense with the Dolphins. But this year, in total defense, they ranked number 22.
Mhm.
Right. So it's not even like you're getting like, oh, one of the best top defensive coordinators as of recent, at least in the league. So for that reason, I am out as well. Next on the list, and this one kind of surprised me. News came out this morning. Chief offensive coordinator Matt Nagy has also been requested for an
Yeah.
interview for the Ravens head coaching position. Alex, are you in? Are you out? And why?
And real quick, going back to the whole Weaver thing, I feel like I'm contradicting myself because obviously I went to Mike McDonald and he, Michigan Ravens, he's kind of like of the Harbaugh thing, but I think the age as well. I think he's a young enough age to have his own philosophy and not be sucked in for so long and kind of gain theirs. But moving on to Matt Nagy, absolutely not. This guy is a terrorist. He should not. He should be in jail for like his football crimes. He somehow made to me the best quarterback, arguably, of our generation in Patrick Mahomes have awful seasons, bang average seasons from number 15 in Patrick Mahomes. Uh, no, thank you. He also hit the Harbaugh face on the sideline with the Bears. I hope they did this just to kind of make him feel good, like a Make a Wish interview. But no, I'm out on Matt Nagy. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Not the Make a Wish interview is
Can't do
crazy. No, but I'm totally out on him as well. I mean, this is just maybe to check a box, fill a quota. I mean, he's not black, so that you can't say the Rooney Rule, right? But yeah, like you said, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't like bringing in Matt Nagy. I don't even like the idea of it, and I don't really like the leadership. I mean, the leadership doesn't really seem like it would come from him either. And like you said, that's your main thing. That's your number one thing. I don't see Matt Nagy fulfilling that at all. Um, Couple guys on this list do, especially this next guy who we're going to talk about. Vikings defensive coordinator Flores, really like a natural born leader. If you see, his post games, like the way he fires up his guys, even in the post game pressures when he's talking to the media, he kind of just has this presence about him, right? Kind of like a almost on the right team, kind of like a Tom 2.0 in a way. Defensive minded, you know what I mean? Strong willed, has his own little isms from now and then, from time to time. I'm just gonna come out and say this, Alex. If the Ravens do go for a defensive minded head coach, I would go for Brian Flores, right? But are you in or are you out on Brian Flores?
This is my 1B. This is the guy behind
Mm,
Kubiak for me. I know I mentioned offensive too, but that leadership is number one. And the way he talked about Lamar, I think before we played them this year, really spoke volumes to me. He knows what type of player he is, and he knows, I think, how he can get the best out of him. And to me, there was that whole interview with Ryan Fitzpatrick about, I don't know if it was meant to be bad about Brian Flores, but the guy didn't want to tank in Miami, and they got mad at him. Forgive me for wanting my coach to be a natural born winner and not tank for you. I love everything about that. Like I said, leadership, and like you said, the leadership is just unbelievable. We could use that here. Um, I think like I mentioned, like a Sean McVay on the sideline getting hype. This is the same exact guy. I can see a big hit, him getting amped up. Interception, he goes out there and celebrates with his guys. We need that. I think he would definitely test these guys and challenge these guys to be the best versions of themselves. I'd be all for it.
yeah, and like I said earlier on my morning show, he would create a culture of accountability. And that's really what the Ravens have been missing in this locker room. And I think that the guys would definitely get behind him. They'd want to run through a freaking wall for him, and that's what we need right now. I mean, we have the pieces, we have talent. The window is open right now for a reason because we have the talent to get it done. And that's why it was so inexcusable that John Harbaugh, the past couple of years specifically, I think 2023, 24, and 25, just like all of those things together is what got Harbaugh up out of here. Like it was just okay. At some point, we have to just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and move on, because everything got stale. right? And it seemed like this team just could not get over the hump. This is a guy, Brian Flores, who I believe can get the Ravens over the hump should they hire him. Now, if they did hire him, since I am an offensive minded guy, I'm of that school of thought. I want us to bring in somebody who's going to elevate the offense in Lamar Jackson. You got to bring in a genius offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
A genius offensive coordinator. And you mentioned to me before we went live here that Todd Lincoln had said in an interview today that basically he's not going to be back. Like that's like confirmed pretty much, which we pretty much already knew. Whoever comes in as head coach is going to bring their own staff with them more than likely. But no, yeah, if you go Brian Flores, you definitely got to get a genius OC. I mean, Mike McDaniel is on the streets. I mean, you mentioned yourself, Alex, like you would want a failed head coach to be your coordinator, right? Somebody who you know can control the game. And B-Flow and Mike McDaniel, I think that they could do that. I think that they could do that. And they're familiar with each other. So,
Yeah, I'm just trying to look up his offenses with the Niners when he was the coordinator, not head coach for the Dolphins. But when he was there his first couple of years, I mean they were looking good. It's not his fault. Tua just ran and wanted to get hit and forgot how to play football. Um, that's I mean, and then the playoff games, it's not his fault. It was what under 60 degrees and his players forgot how to play out football. I mean, it sucks, but there is a guy on here I would like us to interview. That's Chris Shula for me, and then you mentioned Michael LaFleur. Um, I rate him highly, the defensive coordinator for the Rams, and that would also kind of go on with us having to get an OC. But I feel like my perfect, and I want to hear your perfect top three. Like if you could do your head coach, your OC, and then your DC. For me, Kubiak, McDaniel, and then Jim Schwartz. I think if we got those three, I would absolutely be over the moon.
yeah, I agree with you on the last two. The first one, Kubiak, I love Kubiak. I do. But Mike LaFleur is a guy who I really feel like could thrive as the Ravens head coach. When it comes to leadership, I do kind of tend to lean Kubiak. I do. But when it comes to just kind of like offensive, like having an offensive mind, right, and just being like that boy genius, right, directly under Sean McVay. For he's actually been the longest tenured offensive coordinator for Sean McVay. Michael LaFleur has. So, and there's been times where Sean McVay actually relinquished play calling duties to Mike LaFleur because everybody knows Sean McVay runs the show. He calls the plays normally, but the few times that he has kind of deferred to Mike LaFleur, he's done a great job at it. Right. So I think that he's fully ready to call plays. He's a big part of what that scheme looks like today. And as you saw, I mean, the Rams, they don't even have one of the better offensive lines in the league, yet they average the most points per game. Right now, you could say a lot of that is because they've got Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams, and we don't have those weapons. And yeah, that's a fair point. But at the same time, they also rock a lot of three tight end sets. What do we have? Three tight ends that we can use at our fingertips. Granted, you extend likely some way somehow, but Mark Andrews, likely, and Kolar, and a Mike LaFleur led offense. And oh, by the way, now Mike LaFleur, since you're the Ravens head coach, I'm speaking hypothetically here. No longer do you have a statue at quarterback in Matthew Stafford. So there's more that you could even do, right? I said it yesterday on Quiet Storm Sports, Alex. I said, the Ravens have every ingredient that Mike LaFleur would need in order to fix his meal, to cook his meal, right? But we have these two special ingredients that he didn't have in LA, right? In Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I respect Kyron Williams as a running back, but he's not Derrick Henry. I respect Matthew Stafford, but respectfully, he's not Lamar Jackson just in terms of the things that he can do, right? All the things that he can offer. So I think that bringing in a Mike LaFleur, again, right underneath your guy McVay, I think that that would probably be my favorite pick, just from a
Yeah.
scheme wise. And we need somebody who's going to develop Lamar more than what he already is. Like we saw it. I mean, a lot of people thought Lamar Jackson peaked back in like the final years of the Greg Roman era, right? But we saw that that was a lie. Todd Monken came in and he went to another level. I think that that's what you can get if you get a head coach who is going to collaborate with Lamar, you know what I'm saying, and bring out the best in him and bring him to that next level. That's what this team needs. I always say, I mean, because we're going to talk about the defense as well, but I always say the best defense is a really good offense. Why? Because you can keep opposing teams' offense completely off the field. Completely off the field. And, a lot of the things that we saw this year were just kind of like, oh, here's another thing. Offensive line. A lot of the things that we saw this year did not work because of the offensive line. I believe that with an offensive minded head coach, whether that be Mike LaFleur, Clint Kubiak, whoever, right? They will make sure that that offensive line is in tip top shape in order for their offense to run. So it's just like, I keep going back to the analogy of like, cooking in the kitchen when the Ravens have the ingredients, Mike LaFleur or Clint Kubiak, they just got to come in and make the food, right? Well, to cook the food, you got to have a good stove, a good oven, right? I mean, and that's what I say is the offensive line. That's what I compare it to. They're going to make sure that that oven, that stove is ready to go and be, to be able to run anything that they want to do and execute recipe wise. So I'm excited, Alex. I definitely think that, and to answer your question, LaFleur one, offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, like you said, and then Jim Shorts at DC. I don't think that the Jim Short thing will happen because again, I think he's
Yeah.
going to go ahead and get that head coaching spot. But that would be my ideal coaching staff for this Ravens team. Another super chat donation. This one's coming from KP1. KP1 says, "Does LaFleur even call plays? He was the Jets' offensive coordinator too." Yeah, man. I mean, he's under McVay, but there's been times where he has called plays, right? So I do think that he's ready. If you give him, I mean, the Jets. Come on, guys. The Jets are an absolute dumpster fire. The Jets just posted today on their Twitter that they're the first team since 2023 to have the same starting five offensive line since for all 17 games. It's like what you guys didn't get an interception this year. The Jets are a joke, right? Like
Yeah.
the Jets are an absolute joke. So, but go ahead, Alex.
Was that when Aaron Rodgers was there? Is that when LaFleur was there? I want to say.
I can't quite remember because that was just last year, right?
I think, yeah. I just feel bad dealing with Aaron Rodgers. Like the way I saw him act on the sidelines on
Well, yeah, no,
Sunday.
it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been while he was there because he's been with Sean McVay for at least a couple seasons now. So no, it could have been when Aaron Rodgers was there.
Okay. I actually pulled up his. He was there in 2021 and 2022. So it's Zach Wilson,
Yeah,
the Zach Wilson, Mike White era. That's
come on.
unfortunate for him. Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunate for him. uh, it is interesting though. Like that's why I'm so excited because we're coming up with like all these new things. Like we're not talking about just the coordinator this year. Like we were in 22. Like who's going to take over the offense? No, it's everything, which I'm really excited for. Like you said, Todd Monken was on the Ryan Ripken show. I was watching that right before he came on, and the way he was talking, and he basically alluded to the fact his time here in Baltimore is done. Appreciative of everything he took, honestly, um, a lot of responsibility for the losing the championship game. He even said it. He said, you know, didn't call running plays, and I thought that was big because our last coordinator never took responsibility, which I respect that. But now it's moving on, and how can we get better? And I think the names we're naming might possibly are better, and just the head coach as well. For me, I think one thing I just realized today, we won't have a coach, God willing, that stashes talent, and we might see late round picks, can develop into actual, players for us. Like we've talked about, well, the Ravens were interested in Cooper Cup or Puka Nakua. What's to say we would have played these guys? I'm not saying, a sixth or a fifth round pick are going to be our receiver one or two, but they might get a little bit of targets. They might get targets in the preseason and not have to just play special teams the whole time. I'm looking forward to that. I want to see a guy who maximizes the talent out of every single player, offense and defense, and lets everybody just get their fair chance. Because I feel like even like a Tez Walker, he could have, I feel like been more impactful for us this year. Should be better high pointing the ball, 100%. But I think he's earned more targets. I think our next coach, will give him those targets. So for me, like I can't stop saying how excited I am at just the possibility of what we can be building.
Yeah, man. I mean, it totally feels like we're stepping into a brand new chapter. Not even a brand new chapter, just a whole new book, right? A brand new book and just story of this Ravens franchise. And the fact that we're like witnessing this for the first time in 18 years. Again, a lot of us, some people who are watching are too young to remember a Ravens team without John Harbaugh. So this is a really, really big deal. And I share your excitement, Alex. And, just to kind of put a bow on that topic, on that segment, because I'm sure we'll be covering this for weeks to come until they finally make their decision. I think it'll be sooner rather than later. But I'm thinking per candidate for head coach right now for the Baltimore Ravens. The more we talked about it, Alex, I have to lean Kubiak. I'm lean Kubiak. And I know I just said, Mike LaFleur, and I was talking through it, but I think that both of the guys offer a really good scheme, but Kubiak offers a little bit more leadership, I think, that this team is looking for right now. So for that, I think I have to give him the slight edge. But again, it's 1A, 1B for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad at either one. But your perfect one is Kubiak too, right?
Yeah, Kubiak, Flores, I like, and honestly, you've kind of thrown me on the LaFleur as well. One of the guys from the Rams. I'm always going to be a McVay
Yeah.
fan, and you get me somebody from his tree, I feel like you can't fail. Um, that McVay Shanahan tree, it's special. Obviously,
Yeah.
not a lot of Super Bowls. McVay has that big one, but you've seen the just pure genius from those guys, and they've taken the NFL over by storm. How the Vikings, it sucks that McCarthy just
O'Connell,
gets
yeah.
hurt. Yeah, but O'Connell is doing great things with Darnold, and maybe Darnold's just a good quarterback, and those guys can get the best out of him. Maybe that I have to accept he is, not a bad quarterback, but um, it's very interesting. And Toe making it rain here saying Matt Nagy absolutely 100% not. I can't forget when the decisions he was making when he was in Chicago and Mahomes. QBR number has been low with Nagy as OC. Can't disagree with that. I 100% agree. I would not want him anywhere close, not even as an assistant here. I just don't like what he brings. And yeah, no thank you on Nagy.
Yeah, definitely 100%, 100,000% out on Matt Nagy. He should not be the next Baltimore Ravens head coach again. I think the city would probably be up in arms, right? There's a couple of guys on the list that would feel like a lateral move, you know what I mean? From where we were just now, or maybe even, a worse move, like a negative move, moving in the wrong direction. And Nagy would definitely be one of those guys. I think Anthony Weaver would be one of those guys. I think Cliff Kingsbury would be one of those guys. We talked about him in the last segment, but appreciate the super chat donation, Tone, making it rain here on the Purple Rain podcast. We appreciate that. But yeah, Alex, again, like I said, we'll be covering this as the cycle goes on. The hunt continues, a very peculiar time in the Ravens flock fan base. So if you want to stay locked in and get all the latest news and updates and our opinions on the Ravens coaching carousel, the head coach carousel, make sure you stay locked into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel, subscribing to the channel, and also liking our videos, guys, because we can't keep bringing you this good content if you don't like the videos, because YouTube will not push it to the algorithm. So make sure you leave a thumbs up on this video and leave a comment down below if you're part of the hashtag replay gang, and let us know what you think. Who is your perfect head coaching candidate for the Baltimore Ravens? Okay. So we got through that, Alex, and now I think it's time for us to go ahead and get into some picks, man. We got our playoff picks, wild card weekend. The Ravens are no longer a part of it. It saddens me to say, but we still got to do picks. Alex, are you ready to get into the Purple Rain pick segment?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's do it. Here goes nothing.
Yes. So we're moving on now. Like you said, NFL playoffs. Real quick, who is your pick, I'd say, to win the Super Bowl? Not one game's been played yet. Who do you have?
As of right now, I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams. Like I said, I think it's going to be a Bills versus Rams Super Bowl. If the Bills they make it through the AFC, maybe the game against the Broncos is really close. Some people think the Jags are going to knock them off this week, but I don't think so. Surprise, surprise. I think that the Rams and the Bills will go to the Super Bowl, and I think that the Rams will win it.
I should have went first. I'm the same with you, the Rams. I just sat here and gushed over McVay, gushed over Shula, you gushed over LaFleur. Like, it's hard to. And I have one kind of step further. I think if they win, Stafford retires and the Rams make a run for Joe Burrow. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I could be going crazy. But they have the picks.
Be a story right there.
They'd have the money. It could happen. And I think, obviously Burrow doesn't want to leave his guys, but when LA comes calling it and Burrow, he has that that PR, he has that look, that style. Could happen. But moving on now to the NFL playoff picks. First game, Saturday, January 10th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Rams and the Panthers in Carolina. Cam Newton's going to be banging on the drum. That's cool and all. I know they beat them there in the regular season. It's the playoffs. Devontae will be back. Give me Stafford and the Rams.
Yeah, I'm also going to go the Rams here. Like I said, I think go all the way. I mean, with the way that they're looking right now, Matthew Stafford has a prime as one of the 8 best quarterbacks of all time, right? It's kind of like he's in that air. Like he'd be top 10 before we know it, especially if he wins another Super Bowl. We're going to have to start having some of those uncomfortable conversations, but I do have the Rams in this one.
Yes, and now moving on to another NFC game, Saturday night at 8 o'clock, the Packers and the Bears. This one's kind of easy for me. Give me the Bears. I know not a lot of postseason experience, but the Packers for me just can't get it going. Yeah, Bears.
I struggle with this one, Alex. I'm actually gonna go with the Packers in this one. I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think that the Bears, man, they just need another year. They've been playing well, but I go back to that game against Tyler Huntley, right, where they lost that one. I feel like they're due for. I feel like Caleb Williams is due for a big mistake in a big spot. The Packers have been there. They've done that before. I think that they pull through. Give me the Packers in this one.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we got a super chat donation. Hold on. Let's see. Super chat donation. This one's from Jeremy Early. Appreciate you, Jeremy. Dropping the 5-piece in the chat. Jeremy says, don't think is a ceiling raiser. He's a floor raiser. You need an offensive boy genius. And, we agree. But honestly, John Harbaugh had this team on the floor, right? So if the floor can be raised even by just a little bit, as long as the right coordinator hires are made, I feel like that ceiling can still go up. But we really would be getting Brian Flores, of course, for the defense, but mainly the culture and the leadership, which is what really, what the Ravens really need right now. But what do you think about that, Alex?
Yeah, I agree. Also, like I said, leadership, we haven't had that. I want also coach to make playing football fun again. I don't think we've seen these boys have fun in a little bit, and that's why we were so good in the years where we had the 1 seed. They were having fun. So that's just me. But Flores isn't my top 3 to take, and I think this defense could use a revamp. But just my thoughts. Now moving on to our first AFC game of the weekend. Speaking of who you have winning the AFC, the Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. And it's funny how I picked the Bears last game because they're young, but the Packers haven't been getting going. The Bills have kind of struggled at points. I'm gonna pick them. I just don't think the Jaguars are there yet. I think they'll go down. I think they'll panic. I don't know who will help bring them back. Obviously, they came back against the Chargers years ago, but that's 4 years ago now. Hard to go against Josh Allen. He has the experience. Give me the Bills in a close one though.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a close one. I definitely would take. I think the Bills should be favored, but I'll take whatever the Jaguars spread is. I don't know exactly what it is right now. I'd assume it's probably 3, maybe 2.5, if I had to guess. But yeah, pull it up for me real quick because it's probably going to be plus 2.5. At which I would take the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one. I just think that their defense will be able to hold on long enough to make things tough on this Bills offense, who can really be stagnant at times. They don't have a whole crap ton of weapons over there to really threaten you with. It's really just make sure Josh Allen doesn't get out of the pocket, extend plays, things like that. Make sure James Cook isn't going off for $120 against us. But I do think in terms of turnovers forced and plays made, that will be in favor of the Bills in this one, and they'll take it. Let me take the Bills.
It's 1.5, the spread.
Ooh, jeez. Yeah, I kind of figured. But yeah, I'll take the Bills.
Next up, the Niners and the Eagles at our 4:30 game Sunday. This is a damn good one. I like this. I think the spread here is 5.5. I see we had a super chat coming from Wandering Raven. So ASM point about stashing talent. I wonder how much of Harb's firing had to do with the Harbs guys and paid guys underperforming. That's a great point. Because guys were getting paid, and we did see guys get extensions, and unfortunately just underperform.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to play the guys you paid. However, if those guys aren't performing up to par and there's somebody else who's getting paid less, then I'm sorry. I mean, this is why Steve Bisciotti's a billionaire, right? I get it, cap space and all that, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing with house money. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do, right? And so I never thought that was really a good excuse. And, another reason why I'm excited, again, that we're getting in a new guy who can maybe host a culture of accountability. I'm going to keep saying it to where the right guys are on the field, right? I don't care who, you like, who's really good on special teams, who's in your doghouse, who's not, who came from Michigan. or who did you know from Australia? You and Jim from 10 years ago. I don't care about any of that, right? Like, just play the right guys. That's what it comes down to. But Wandering Raven, makes a good point, branching on. Thanks so much for the donation, Wandering Raven. 10 peeps in the chat, making it rain, man. Appreciate it.
Now to this Niners-Eagles game, I am going to pick the Eagles. I just think they have too much talent, and if they were to lose, I think the Sirianni question marks would pop up, but Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you have got to get this done. Spread's 5.5. I would take the Niners spread. I think this will be a close game, probably a field goal decides it, but I'm taking the Eagles in this one.
I'm also going to take the Eagles. Dominant defensive line. It looks like their running game is starting to get going. Jalen Hurts is a playoff riser. So I will go with the Eagles in this one. But when is that game taking place again? Like what time?
4:30 on Sunday.
Sunday at 4:30. Okay, perfect. Because I actually have company coming in this week from San Francisco, and they're big 49ers fans, and they'll be here through Monday. So I'll be watching the playoff game with them here at my place, and that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles to take out the 49ers.
And now here's a good one. Sunday night, Chargers and Patriots in Foxborough. I'm taking the Patriots. Obviously, Drake May probably the MVP. Sorry, I just have a Greg Roman offense in the playoffs in my mind, and I think it's going to fall flat. And I take the Patriots, honestly, by a touchdown.
Ooh, this is a tough for me, Alex, because I'll tell you what, the Chargers defense, Jesse Minter has got that Chargers defense really, really rocking right now. The Patriots aren't the greatest at stopping the run. Hell, we saw that when they played us. A really big play, Ryan. Herbert's been there, in terms of the playoffs. Of course, he hasn't won one yet, but I think he's itching to get one. I'm going to take the Chargers to knock off the Patriots in this one, and a very, very close one. I think that it comes down to maybe like a field goal, but I am going to lean the Chargers over the Patriots in that one.
Okay. All right, now here's one we've kind of been waiting for. Monday night, Texans, Steelers in Pittsburgh. I saw a stat. Pittsburgh is like 23-0 Monday night games.
Should have been us.
They don't lose. Now, would you take a playoff appearance and keep it Harbaugh, or have the other way around, the way we have it now?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
it's just like, damn.
I wanted to not, like, don't get me wrong, I wanted to win the game. I wanted to send them home in front of their fans because it feels like they would get the one-up on us. Now, granted, we beat them in the playoffs last year, put belt to them, but that wasn't enough. I wanted to do it in Pittsburgh, and we couldn't do it, but it's all right. Because now the Texans beating the Steelers and ending their playoff hopes one and done early, and Tomlin stays since the Obama administration without a win, and TJ Watt still does not have a sack in the playoffs. Give me the Texans, give me that defense, and give me the Texans by, honestly, 2 possessions. I think it's going to be, it's just a defense. They've got to take over, and I want to see Aaron Rodgers just look like an idiot.
I'm also going to take the Texans in this one, but I will take the Steelers to cover the spread. I think you said it was how many points?
3 points.
For that one? 3 points? Yeah, I think it's going to be close, man. I think you're going to see a little bit of vintage Aaron Rodgers. He's going to escape a couple of sacks. I think he's going to get hit a couple of times, a lot of times in this game. Don't get me wrong. Hunter, Will Anderson, and those boys, they come to play. However, I do see him escaping the pocket, extending a couple plays, making some throws downfield. I think DK springs open, and he has them in the mix to win that game by the end of it. You got to think the Steelers compete against a lot of really good teams. They compete. They don't necessarily just tend to lay down and get dog walked, right? And I don't think that happens this week. I think that the Texans take it, but it's going to be very, very close.
Cool. And there we go. We have our picks. It's going to be a good weekend, I think. Definitely lots of good games. Hopefully not a lot of blowouts. If there's one that the books are predicting is a blowout, is that Rams-Panthers game, but it'll be, I think, a close first half. I think the Rams run away with it in the second half. I just think their experience just wins it for them.
Yeah, agreed. And I see you guys are saying I'm tripping for my Steelers take and thinking they'll cover that. I do think that they'll cover. I'm sorry, but like I just got a feeling. I know this Steelers team. They can make it ugly with anybody, with anyone, right? And the Texans are a little bit overrated for my money. They are. But okay. Those are our wild card picks. We will be back, of course, next week predicting the divisional round games. Again, I wish we were in these playoffs, but like my good friend Alex just said, would you rather have made the playoffs, kept Harbaugh, or have it how we have it now. Miss the playoffs and we move on from Harbaugh like we did on Tuesday. To which I say I'm grateful that we're in the position we are in. I'm grateful. But, still, when I think back to Sunday night, and again, like I said, I'm over it, but I've rewatched my live stream of that night because I was live for the entire game. And I think you popped in on it too.
Yes.
But at the I keep rewatching when Luke missed that kick. And just like how distraught I was, you know what I'm saying, at the time. Only for 48 hours later for me to come out of the coma of sadness and pity, right? And melancholy from both, and I'm so happy right now. Like you said, I'm excited. That's the theme of these episodes from here on out, from here to September. We're ready to go. New chapter in Baltimore. It's going to be us in the playoffs next season with a whole new narrative, right? You're not going to be able to paint the narrative, what's going to happen when they go to the playoffs. No, we got a whole new coach, right? He's overhauled, maybe not everything, but uprooted some things within the Baltimore Ravens, and we're going to be in these playoffs next year. Book it, Alex. Book it.
I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, for me, looking back at it now, as much as I was against Harbaugh, I think his biggest gripe again, he was way too loyal and way too complacent. Bisciotti asked him, what changes would you make? This guy said very little changes. And running back with the same coordinator, obviously, I had no problem with Monken. Well, I had some problems, but not nearly big problems compared to Orr. I think that's probably where Bisciotti's like, you're going to bring this guy back again who you saw got ran down on in the fourth quarter multiple times. And it happened. Yeah, so I respect to Steve for that. I'll tell you this, 2 p.m. next Tuesday, that press conference, I'm going to be tuned in. It's the first time Bisciotti has spoken to the press without a closed environment since 2017. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching that.
What if he announces the new head coach? Like, just drops the bombshell. That would be crazy.
Depending Monday how interviews are going, we'll know. But I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah, a boy can dream, right? That's what I said. Hopefully he does. I would love that. All right, Alex, we got a little parlay to make. Of course, no Ravens football, but we probably do have some good lines out for some teams, right? You mentioned how about we take a look at let's get into the segment first.
Yes, the Purple Rain parlay, as always, under me. Please gamble responsibly. So you mentioned some games. What game you thinking that we can maybe get a good prop out of?
I'm thinking that Rams game.
That freaking Rams game. JD, I watched a Monken interview. Very, very informative. I advise everybody on the Ryan Ripken show. Probably talk for about 45 minutes, I want to say. Definitely watching. Like I said, took a lot of responsibility for everything. Now taking this Rams Panthers game, any guys looking at any passing props, receiving props, rushing props, any just guys looking at?
I'm looking at Puka, man. What is it? Over under 93.5 receiving yards. I'm just guessing, spitballing here.
So I am on the DraftKings, and they have his over under receiving yards at 91.5.
I knew it was going to be up there. It'll probably be 93.5 on game day. But it's still no Tay Adams, right?
He's looking on track to play.
See, that makes things interesting. I know he's the touchdown merchant, but I still feel like he could steal away a few targets from Puka Nacua. Over 91.5 in this game. I mean, I could see the Panthers, just looking like they are overwhelmed against a Rams team who, again, has been there, done that. It feels like the Panthers are enjoying this newfound success we've been talking about all season, how it doesn't really feel like they know if they're good or not themselves. I could see them getting down early in this one. Rams throwing as much. I could see it. I might have to take the under, Alex.
Real. Last time I took the under on Puka Nacua, it was that Thursday night game against the Seahawks.
Like 220 something.
He put up Rashad Bateman's full season stat line in one game.
Jesus, man. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Now, I'll throw somebody else in this game. Tet. His line's at 56.5. If we
They're
have
gonna need
them,
him.
if we have them losing, I think they're
Yeah.
going pass heavy, and I don't trust anybody else. I mean, Jalen Coker, I like. Leggett, to me, I was big on him coming out of college. Hasn't
Mhm.
really looked the best. I mean, the line's at 56.5. I think he goes over. If we're gonna pick somebody from this game, or if you want
I
to do
do like
Puka,
that.
like over.
I like the over. Yeah, I like the over on Tet more than I like the under on Puka. So let's go with the over on Tet.
Okay, cool. Anybody else from this game you look at? Touchdowns or just any game lines?
Mm, if we think that the Rams will be playing with a lead, what about Kyron Williams rushing yards? What is that at?
64.5. And Blake Corum's at 43.5, which is it's a lot.
It's a nasty split. Yeah. I'll stay away. We'll stay away. Let's.
Okay, cool. Um, let's do the Packers and Bears game.
Okay. Okay. Packers
So
and Bears.
yeah, the
Caleb Williams passing yards.
his passing yards are at
230 something.
203.5.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm taking
Yes,
the over. I'm taking the over on Caleb Williams passing yards for sure.
that's two legs right there. We're at a plus
Yeah.
261, and you know we love a good three legger.
Yeah. One more.
If the chat wants to
Need.
give us anything or any games to look at, I'd be open to that.
Yeah. We still have Bills and
Bills and
the
Jags.
Jags. What about Josh Allen rushing yards?
I feel like
Or
he has to
Josh
go
Allen
Superman.
anytime touchdown. Yeah.
So anytime touchdown for him is minus 160,
Oh wow.
and the rushing
Gross.
yards 38.5.
Okay. And the odds on the over for the rush. What is it?
Minus 110.
I think I like the odds better on the rushing yards than I do on the anytime touchdown. And that's kind of gross. Minus 160 for an anytime touchdown for a
Yep.
quarterback.
When James Cook's been punching it into.
Yeah.
Granted,
Yeah.
he gets the tush push at the 1 yard line, but guys, did notice the Jags have good defense.
What do you think about? Well, let's hold on to that. Well, let's bookmark that.
Yeah. Let me look at the Niners, because I love our first two picks, by the way. The Tet and the Caleb Williams. I love them.
Okay.
For the Niners and Eagles, receiving props. Let me look at how many receptions McCaffrey. 5.5.
4.5. Ooh.
Plus 109 for over 5.5. I don't think he gets that. I think we at like
They didn't
4 or
work
5.
Christian McCaffrey like a slave, man. I mean, he is always in the game, always getting the ball. I mean, fantasy football GOAT, right? But you said you don't see him getting the 5.5 over 5.5 receptions.
Nah, I don't.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, it's like a Puka Nakua type thing. If you take the under, he's gonna get like 7 catches. Right? What about AJ Brown?
Yards or receptions?
Let's take a look at receptions.
5.5.
Even that's steep, man. Because I could see him getting 5 on the dot, and I'd be pissed. Could totally see that. And then his receiving yards is at what, 69.5?
67.5.
Okay. See, I don't really love any of those.
No.
I don't.
McCaffrey's receiving yards is 45.5.
I like that. I don't love it, but I like it. But he could get that in like a big chunk play. You know what I mean? Like that's 1-2 good plays by Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, catching the ball out of the backfield. So that does sound appealing from that standpoint. But outside of that, let's take a look at Steelers. I want to see what DK Metcalf. I know Aaron Rodgers, of course, having these wide receivers the past couple of weeks who don't stack up to DK, he's going to be glad to get Mr. Metcalf back. What is his lines looking like?
Receiving yards or receptions?
Uh, let's go receiving yards.
54.5.
Oh yeah, I would definitely take the. I mean, because think about it, Alex. I mean, you guys were just saying in the chat the Texans are going to win by 10 plus, which means the Steelers are going to be trailing, which means the Steelers are going to be throwing, which means Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing. We know if he has a choice to throw it, he's going to throw it to DK. What is receptions? Just out of curiosity, receptions.
4.5.
I love
And
either of
and the
those.
over is plus 135.
For the over on receptions.
Correct.
Oh, I'm taking that. I think that's. I think he can get. I think he will get 5 plus catches.
Cool.
Even if the last one has to come in garbage time, I think absolutely that with the season on the line for sure.
So we want to do a 4-legger?
When did we?
So
did we lock down the third one?
So we have Tet, Caleb,
Mm-hmm.
the over.
Mm-hmm.
We had Josh Allen rushing yards just sitting there if we liked it. Then we have the DK
Right.
Metcalf over on receiving yards and receptions. So we have 5 right now.
Well, I would take out one of the 2 DK ones.
Okay.
I just want to do one
Okay.
DK prop. You know.
I think he gets a deep ball. I do think he gets like a big 30, 40-yard catch.
Okay, well, let's do the reception. Well, not receptions. Let's do the receiving yards for DK.
Okay.
And then I would say take out the Josh Allen over 38.5 rushing yards, but let's do an alternate Josh Allen rushing yards just for a little drizzle on that, right?
Okay.
So maybe 25 plus. Is that on there, or is it only in increments of 10?
Of course it is. It's on here. We can do that. We can
Okay,
do
so let's do that as a little sprinkle because we definitely think he'll get 25 rushing yards. And what does that bring us to?
That takes us to plus 814. So the over of 56.5 on Tet receiving yards. The over of 203.5 Caleb Williams passing yards. The over on DeKalin Zacharias Metcalf, 54.5 receiving yards, and 25 plus Joshua Allen rushing yards.
That's plus 800. That can get you a pretty sweet payout. I'm not going to lie. Of course, please always gamble responsibly. Before we get out of here, though, we still got to do our 2-leg lotto. 2-leg lotto for the weekend. I'm thinking some touchdown scorers.
Why not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah, you know, go ahead.
Let's see what we got here. I'm just looking just deep down. Who do we have? Colston Loveland, I do like from the Bears, but I don't think he'll get.
Yes, I like that.
You do like it?
We're talking about a lotto. Hell, I mean, our normal one was plus 800, so I think our lotto has to be plus 2,000.
Devin Duvernay, anytime touchdown. I mean, who says no?
Come on, bro. Devin Duvernay. Now you're pushing it. Devin Duvernay. Nah, bro. But I could totally see Colston Loveland. I could see that. DJ Moore, right? Hell, DJ Moore might get 2 of them things. I could see it. But Colston Loveland is plus how much?
200.
Shoot, I'm with it. Or if that's not steep enough for you, I understand.
No, I'm definitely cool with that. If we want to do like a 2 or 3-legger. Anybody else like anytime touchdown? I see.
Chat, who do y'all think is going to score a touchdown this week? Who do y'all think is scoring a touchdown this week out of any team in the playoffs?
There's just some names on here.
I mean, we go Steelers. I could see Pat Fryermuth.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same exact thing. My hand. He's at a plus 400. Takes us to a plus 1,400.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good right there. I mean, do you want to bump it to 2K? Just, raise the stakes just a little bit?
If we're bumping it to 2K, I'm throwing Oronde Gadsden in it I think we're going full tight ends, or we can,
Okay.
or if you want to take a sure guy who we think will get in there, but we're at plus 1400 right now.
I like Gadsden.
This is plus 5400 if we take him. Like this is a true lotto.
Yeah, that's a true lotto. He's a tricky one. Greg Roman offense.
Kincaid's at 235. Brenton Strange is at 225. I'm just sticking towards tight ends right now just because why not?
Yeah, why not? I'd feel safer with Kincaid.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, let's do that. Where does that bring us?
Plus 4,925. So
let's run it.
A lot of don't put Colston Loveland anytime touchdown, Pat Fryermuth anytime touchdown, Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown. It's not National Tight Ends Day, but it is in our hearts.
Yeah. And it's the playoffs, right? I mean, we're talking cold weather football. You got to be reliable. I mean, some of these big time wide receivers, they tend to disappear in the playoffs, and the tight ends and the running, they tend to show up, right? When it's football time, when it's football weather in January. So I could totally see it hitting. Of course, just sprinkle a little bit. You don't got to put the house on or anything like that. Of course, always, please gamble responsibly. But that is going to be our Purple Rain Parlay segment, and thus the end. We've come to the conclusion, the glorious conclusion of episode 368 of the Purple Rain podcast. Appreciate all of you guys for coming through and rocking out with us. And again, even though the Ravens season is over, it does not mean that the Purple Rain podcast is over, because there's still so much news to cover. Of course, most importantly, the Ravens head coaching position that is up for grabs right now. Of course, we will be keeping our ears to the streets and our cameras on stream, right? Ready to go. In case the Ravens hire a new guy, there's going to be a ton to talk about. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video as well. If you want exclusive content and exclusive opportunities to go live with us and things like that, make sure you join membership of the Rain Gang as well. Again, follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel. With that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out.
Yes, of course. As always, have a safe and healthy weekend. And we'll see you back on Monday, hopefully with some good news. And yeah, as always, stay positive and test freaking negative.
Yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This has been episode 368 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.